Greetings YouTubers, and welcome back to another Todd E. Walnuts video. And this one's going to be a little bit different than the norm on this channel. Usually I'm talking about movies or Blu-rays or DVDs, horror movies, stuff like that. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about the items I accumulated from real-life gangster Henry Hill, who was, the movie GOODFELLAS was based somewhat loosely off of his life. And toward the end of his life, I got to know him and kind of formed a correspondence with him for several years before he passed away. And over those years, he sent me quite a few things in the mail. And I'll kind of share those with you guys. This is a little bit different, so I'm not exactly sure how to go about making this video. I did have a video about this made at one time, and I took it down. I didn't want to make it seem like I'm glorifying crime or anything like that. I just want you guys to know that I don't condone any of the crime that happened during Henry Hill's life. This is just correspondence with him after he was out of the life, and I just want to show you guys some of the things that I picked up over that time, if that makes any sense. So I don't really have a plan. I'm just going to kind of start pulling and showing you guys some things that he sent to me, and he signed just about everything. I don't really think that his signature is worth much just because he signed everything for everybody. So some of these items may be a little bit rare, but his signature is not. So if you're interested in checking out my little true crime Henry Hill gangster mafioso collection, get yourselves relaxed, get a beverage and a snack. If you're not into this kind of stuff, I totally get it. There's other videos you can check out on my channel, or there's other channels out there that are really great that have new uploads you can check out tonight instead. So if you want to stick around, let's do this. I'm gonna go get a drink myself. I'm gonna get a Gatorade, and we're gonna start. Okay, so this first stack right here I got a little stack of cheese right here. I got some dollar bills, not dollars. A lot of these are $2 bills, but this was signed by Frank Colada, who was an enforcer for the Chicago outfit, which was the mafia that Capone formed way back in the day. But Colada was a enforcer for that. He's passed away now. He passed away maybe less than 10 years ago. Between 5 and 10 years ago he died, I think. But I met him through Henry Hill, and I got a couple of $2 bills signed by Colada. And then I also have a $2 bill signed by Tony Montana. Not to be confused with Al Pacino's character, Tony Montana from Scarface. They're completely different. Anthony Montana, or Tony Montana, was one of the gangsters who helped build Las Vegas back in the 60s. He's now passed away too. I got this note here signed by Tony Montana. And then the rest of these were signed by Henry Hill. I got another $2 bill. Let's see the signature on there. And then I have a $5 bill from Tony Montana, and a $2 bill from Tony Montana, and a $5 bill from Frank Colada. These are pretty old bills too, I think. This one's from 1953. I'm not really a bill collector, so I don't know, what these are worth. And for me, these are just autographed pieces. I would never part with these. Excuse me. But this one's from 1976. I think the red ones are a little more rare. I'm not really sure. Like I said, I'm not really a collector, but that's from 1928, that bill right there. And here's a much newer one from 2003. And here's another red note. If anybody is a bill collector, a dollar collector, and you know the difference between red and blue and whatever, you can chime in the comment section and let me know. This one was from, let's see, 1928 and 1976 and 1976. So those were just a couple of the bills that I had signed by the gentleman. And we'll continue to the next topic. The next item is a ice pick. It says Goodfella Henry Hill. And not really much to say about this other than the ice pick. It's kind of a stereotype in mafioso. In the mafia gangland killings, you hear about ice picks in the brain and stuff like that. He thought it would be funny to send this, and at one time he was talking about sending a shine box, because if you've ever seen the movie Goodfellas, you know that there's a scene in there where he says, "Go get your shine box." And Henry did shine shoes when he was, I think, around 12 years old, before he met Jimmy Burke, Jimmy the Gent. And Jimmy Burke was the one who kind of took Henry Hill under his wing and got him kind of involved in that life. And he started doing kind of menial criminal jobs. So he was breaking into parking meters, and they had him doing jobs of arson to damage some of the storefronts that wouldn't pay and stuff like that. He was doing small stuff, making sandwiches for some of the bigger guys, you know, the higher ups and the enforcers and stuff like that, and the capos, and he ended up making his way up the ranks a little bit. But being that he was half Irish and half Italian. He was Irish on his father's side. He was Italian. He was Sicilian on his mother's side. So he could never really be a made man. You have to be 100% Italian to become a made man. So he could only ever be an associate, and that's what he was. But he did get a high ranking as an associate. Yeah, that's about all I can really say about this ice pick. I'm going to put this away and we'll go to the next item. The next item is a $100 token or casino chip. I don't remember which casino this was from, but he signed it on the back. You can see there, Henry Hill, 100 tokens. $100 worth. And I have some business cards. He was getting into some businesses on the side, and just before he passed away, he was getting into the wine business. He had a partner, and they were gonna release a Goodfellas wine. I think they have since released it, but it came out after he passed away, because he was telling me he was gonna send me some bottles of it once it came out. I'm not a drinker, but I would have taken them just for the collectible. He probably would have signed them up like he signed everything else, and it's a shame that he didn't get to see it, but I do believe that they released it after he died. But he sent me a couple of business cards, and there you can see on the left, that is the real life Henry Hill. And of course, that is Ray Liotta next to him, who played Henry Hill in the movie Goodfellas. He sent me a bunch of these. Let's see, if you guys want to pause it, you can read a little bit more about him. He sent me a couple of these. This was the Goodfellas brand, and this was what the wine was going to come out with, that label. And like I said, I believe it still did come out, but it was after Henry had passed away. And he just sent me a bunch of these. He was actually a really nice guy. After he went through the witness protection program, that's a whole nother story. I don't think I'm going to get into all of that in this video, but if you want to do a little bit of research on your own, you'll know that Henry got into some big trouble in his life. He ended up doing time, and he ended up becoming a rat. And in that lifestyle, that's a death sentence, becoming a rat. And he ended up going into the witness protection program, and he couldn't stay out of trouble. He could not stay out of trouble. Eventually, they ended up kicking him out of the witness protection program. It was a miracle that somebody didn't whack him, but I'm glad they didn't. But all right, let's check out the next item. And And I mentioned earlier that he liked to sign everything. And you can see here, he even signed a Tampa's Lowry Park Zoo. I don't know why, but he signed this and sent it to me. And that's just, I mean, he was just a good guy, all around good guy. He had his flaws, you know, as we all do. And toward the end of his life, he had some substance abuse issues. And I believe he was 69 years old when he passed away. And I think, what year was that? 2012, I think it was. And yeah, I mean, he just, he lived a hard life, a hard, fast life, and he died young, I think. And but he was fun to talk to, and at this point in his life, when I knew him, he was way out of the business already. And he was pretty open about things. He was pretty down on himself too, and I'll talk more about that later. He wasn't proud of what he did or how he did it. And there's an example I'll show you later. But here's like a beer coaster. I don't really know why he sent this to me, autographed, but he did. And like I mentioned, he autographed everything. And here's another one. This is a sports book. So Henry did have he had his hands in the point shaving back in the 70s, I believe it was. He was gambling a lot, and they were point shaving to, if you're not familiar with point shaving, it usually happens in basketball, but it can happen in football too, where a star player on the basketball court may be expected to score about 30 points, but he has a wink, an injury, and he only scores 10 points that night. And Henry happened to bet against that team. Wink, wink. That's point shaving. And I think that's the significance of this one here, the sports book. But you can see he signed it there in a black Sharpie. And then we got this big fake $50 bill. Goodfella, Henry Hill. Goodfella artwork. Now go get your shine box. Just a couple of little trinkets that he signed. And I would never sell any of these. I doubt any of these have any value really, other than like sentimental value. But all right, I'm going to pause it here. We'll go to the next item. Now, these dice here, I think, if I remember, these were gifted to Henry by a casino, and he gifted them to me. And this one says, these dice were used in actual play in this fabulous casino. And then it has this little plastic top. Oh, the thing went flying all over by Hannah. Didn't mean to do that. These are just big casino dice. And it looks like he did sign them. I didn't realize that he did, but if you can see there, it says Henry Hill. He literally signed everything. And this was from Las Vegas, Nevada, Palace Station, 1983. See if he signed this one too. I bet he did. He did. He literally signed everything. 1983. It's kind of fun to go through this stuff again because it's been probably a decade since I looked at any of this stuff. I'm not familiar with Palace Station 1983. I'm not really familiar much with Vegas, to be honest with you. I don't really know much about it, but it's pretty cool to have these. These were authentic dice, and then Henry signed them. Next is a pack of playing cards. And it says the U.S. Playing Card Company, Cincinnati, Ohio, Aristocrat. And then at the top, there's a little seal up there. It says this deck of cards was used in actual play in this fabulous casino. He signed it there on the front. And then inside, there's a couple of plastic cards. I'll show you those in a minute. But Henry literally signed every single card in this deck. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through maybe 10 or 12, but he literally signed every single card. This was also from the Palace Station. I'm not familiar with it. If it's still in existence or if it's run out of business, you can let me know in the comments if you know. I suppose I could always Google it too, but Ace of Spades. I mean, he literally signed everything. It's really cool though. You can tell his marker was running out. Can you imagine taking the time to sign all 52 cards? Heidi joined us, and Hannah's here. So I'm gonna pause it really quick, put these back in there, and we'll keep going. So these were some of his, I don't remember what these were. I don't even remember owning these, but this says Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. It has Henry Hill's name on it, and then he also signed it. This was must have been like some kind of a gambling program where they, it says the use of the Seminole wild card constitutes acceptance of all terms and conditions of the Seminole Players Club. This card will remain the property of the casino and is subject to cancellation or surrender upon request. Limit 1 per person. So that must have been his little membership card for the Seminole Casino, where there's the logo right there. Take a look at that. And then he had, let's see, what else do we have here? This was a preferred boarding pass. It has his name up here and even has a senior 50 plus, 1976 to 2011. This was 1 year before he died. And he also had, what is this? Looks like it's a comedy club. The Louis Anderson Theater, $15 discount to hotel guests. Also at the Palace Station. That must have been his casino of choice because most of the stuff that we have here is from the Palace Station. So I kind of forgot I had these. It's kind of fun to go through this stuff again, but these are the 3 cards that he sent to me. This next piece is one of the favorites I have in my collection, and why I don't have this framed, I don't know. I should definitely have this framed, but all 3 of these gentlemen are now passed away, and they all signed this. That's Frank Colada from the Hole in the Wall gang, part of the Chicago outfit. And then you have Henry Hill from the Lucchese outfit, and Lucchese family. And then you had Tony Montana, who was part of the Las Vegas group that built Vegas back in the 50s and 60s. That's a really cool piece right there. And when I got this, all 3 of these gentlemen were still alive, and now they're all gone. That's how fast time goes. But I'm really glad to have this. And we'll put that out to the side. The next piece is Frank Colada. And Frank Colada's character was part of the movie Casino, which a lot of people consider to be GOODFELLAS Part 2, although they're not related, but they're both excellent movies. And Frank Colada was an associate on the set to kind of give it a little more authenticity to the movie, and I think that's why it was so great. But that's Frank Colada, and he passed away, like I said, I think it was between 5 and 10 years ago. I lose track of time, but he was a good one. He sent me some things too. And what else do we have? Here's a piece from Henry. I think this was one of the last things that he sent to me here. This is a nice little 8x10, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a little bit bigger than an 8x10, but this should be framed too. It's a great picture of Henry. So now we're going to start getting into, like I was saying, now we're going to get into some of the hobbies that he had once he got out of the witness protection program and he was kind of on his feet again, so to speak. He enjoyed the hobby of painting, and some of the stuff he did was really amazing. I'll show you some of my favorite stuff that he sent, but this last one here, here, before we talk about this one here with the rat, this is some of the stuff that he painted, and I think this is absolutely beautiful. This is the New York City skyline, and he did a couple different versions of that, and I really love these. Here's another one, different colors. I'm gonna frame these eventually, but I just thought these were really good, and he was really good at doing the skylines like this. And I asked him if he would do different colors, and he did, so I got 4 different colors. And then he asked me, well, don't you want to see something else? I can do other stuff too. And I said, why don't you do a portrait of yourself if you think you can do that? And he told me he was going to do that. And this is the thing that he sent to me, because he considers himself a rat. So this was that was his interpretation of himself as a rat. And then, of course, that's the saying that they use in the movie GOODFELLAS. I'm sure if you've seen that, you remember that. They got a pizza pie, they got a strawn, and they got some cash there. But I was a little bit disappointed that he did that, but that's how he felt about himself, and he never really forgave himself for ratting his own people out. So he considered himself a rat. And I mean, look at how beautiful this is, though. These are really nice. Just 4 different colors, and he kind of got bored of doing those for me. So here's another one that he did I thought was really beautiful. It's kind of a tropical scene here. It's got Henry Hill on the bottom down there. And this was one that he did of Howard Stern. And this is another tropical one. I really like it. So these were all hand painted. What does it say? Painted by Henry Hill, 2012. That's the year he died. Let's see, when did he do these? Just not the, hold on, there's 2 of them stuck together here now. Yeah, 2012 for Howard Stern. I think these must have all been 2012. I'm not going to go through them all, but I think these are really beautiful, and I think he did a really good job with these tropical scenes are pretty nice. So I'm going to pause it, put these away, and we'll keep moving. I wanted to show you guys one of the envelopes that he sent to me. I covered up my address, which I don't live at that address anymore anyway, but I don't want any of you fuckers coming and knocking on my front door. But he wrote on here, "Postman, please do not bend. Ovens are hot." So he was kind of breaking my mailman's balls there a little bit, and he put that little smiley face on there. But this is what he would send the paintings in, these little kind of manila envelopes. I thought that was funny. I wanted to share that. Here's a couple of high quality photos that I had. I didn't remember where I put these. I was looking for these a couple years ago. I didn't realize I stuck them in there with my Henry Hill stuff, but there's Lucky Luciano. I'm sure you guys are very familiar with him. And there's Alphonse Capone, Al Capone. There he is again. These don't have anything to do with Henry Hill. These are just photos that I picked up years ago. Not sure why I showed those, but I think those are pretty cool. It has nothing to do with Henry Hill, though. I found some other photos that I thought are pretty cool. Maybe I'll tack these on for a little filler on this video, because I think we're just about done here. But I didn't realize that I had all of my gangster stuff here with Henry Hill, but I kind of wanted to go through and show you guys these are high quality photos. That's Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, who was one of the kind of founding members of the Las Vegas Mafia out there. We have Al Capone again, a different photo of Al Capone. Frank Costello. These are really nice photos. Here's the Rat Pack. That's a really early photo of the Rat Pack. You can see a young Frank, Dean, Peter Lawford, and Sammy. That's a great photo. Here's another Al Capone. And what is this one? You can see Lucky Luciano. This was back in the 30s. That was before he ran out of the country. They sent him to Cuba, or he exiled to Cuba. Meyer Lansky, right there. These are really cool photos. I'm glad I found these. When I moved about 8 years ago, and I'm still finding things that I thought I lost. I found one more too that's pretty important. It is, I'll give you guys a minute to, if you want to figure out who you think that is. It's Carlo Gambino, one of the founding fathers of American Mafia. So I think that's it for this video. I thought there was more. I probably do have more stuff laying around. I know I had some letters corresponded with Henry Hill. I think I have those in a different part of my house. I did have a couple of, these are kind of like DVD-sized cases with audio CDs in them of it's called Blood Brothers, and it's kind of the life history of Frank Colada, and he signed them there. And he signed it up there. But the thing about these are still factory wrapped, shrink wrapped, and he signed it on the outside of the shrink wrap. So once I open that and once I open up that plastic, the signature is pretty much gone. So, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit different, I know, and I wasn't sure how to go about showing this stuff and how to talk about it. I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells talking about this. It's just different topic matter here on my channel, and I know most of the people who come here are looking for horror movies and stuff like that, but like I said earlier, this channel is basically my hobby, and I just like doing the stuff that I like to do and the stuff that I like talking about, and hopefully you guys get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. If not, I mean, like I said earlier, there's so many other channels out there. Go knock yourself out. There's so many different topics and channels. There's something you'll like out there, but all right, I guess we will end it here. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave those below. Enjoy the rest of your night and have a great weekend.